I'm a part of a lot of different groups. Some of these different groups I've talked about publicly, and I've referred to them as masterminds. Other groups I've never talked about because if I did, you guys probably know what would happen. I might not be making YouTube videos anymore, and that's probably the least of my problems if I did. But for this video, I'm gonna be talking about one of the secret rules that I've learned from a group that I can talk about. I'm a part of a real estate mastermind called Collective Genius. And in order to be a part of it, you've got to be doing over 50 real estate deals every single year. And on top of that, you've got to pay $25,000 a year. Now, this group has taught me many different things, but there is one big thing that I have learned that has drastically impacted my life, my business, and it's making me take a look at how I do things in the future for everything that I do. Now, before I tell you guys what this rule is, I know many of you are just gonna try to skip to the end so you can just hear it and then bounce. But if you do that, you're not gonna fully understand what I mean by this rule, and it'll be a complete waste of time. So if that's you, I would just stop watching the video now instead of going through all the hassle of doing that. So if you're still with me, I'm gonna tell you a few different stories of people I've met in this group that have drastically changed my life, my business, how I see things now, and how I've developed this rule that I'm gonna tell you. One of the first people I met in this group was my good friend Kong Lee. Many of you know him as King Kong if you follow him on TikTok or YouTube. I got the privilege to meet him 2 years ago for the very first time. Back then, he was a lot less crazy, he was a lot less famous, but he had the same kind of mindset that you see today. And the biggest thing he showed me back then was that I needed to take social media way more seriously. At the time, I didn't have a YouTube channel, I didn't have a TikTok, didn't have any of these things. And because I met him at the group, he pushed me to go start both of those things. In March, okay, remember pandemic's hitting?
Yep.
That was the first time I really met you and got to talk to you.
Yep.
And you were like, dude, you gotta get on TikTok.
Yep.
You gotta do this. And I was like, dude, why am I gonna get on TikTok? And I just did it. And it's been a game changer.
Yep.
And that also led down to creating YouTube,
Yep.
which is the only reason you guys are watching this now. So if you guys like my content, you have to thank this guy for getting me on it. And to be quite honest, if I'm not a part of this group and I don't meet Kong, I am not here right now making this video for you guys. I just wouldn't have taken social media as serious and I would have just stayed on whatever path I was going down. So I'm super grateful to have met him because my life is completely different because of it. Also, a side note, he's gonna be speaking at my upcoming mastermind September 30th through October 2nd. You can find more info on that in the description below. But another person I met during this mastermind was a guy named Doug Hopkins. Now, Doug got famous for having a TV show many years back called Property Wars. It was pretty much just like Storage Wars. All these real estate investors would go to the auction, try to bid on properties so that they can fix and flip them.
You can show your dad how to make a real bid. 119. That's a real bid? How about 122? 500 more. 125.5. 500 bucks.
Now, obviously, we know reality TV is very dramatized and it's not necessarily what really happens. But one thing I learned by meeting Doug at this mastermind was that his business was legit. This guy was wholesaling hundreds of homes every single year. And in fact, a large part of my business model is based on what I learned from him. I would have never started running TV commercials here in Las Vegas if I didn't meet Doug and his partner, Darren. When you sell your house to homerunoffer.com, there's no fees, no commissions, no banks, and no repairs. They scripted our commercial, they run all our ads, they pick the time slots, they do everything for us. And they help me realize the finer details of this business with how to handle a lead coming in, how to schedule appointments, how to do follow-up better, and they've helped our conversion tremendously, and we've made millions of dollars simply because we met them and started running commercials. And he's not the only one. Gary Harper, who I met at this group, has drastically changed my business as well. I paid him a lot of money to come to Las Vegas and completely revamp how our organization was structured. He taught us how to use the EOS model that's found in the book Traction. It's a book I highly recommend all of our students read because it is a great way to create structure in your company. But he also helped us create our core values that you see on my office wall. We will not hire anybody who cannot uphold those core values in any of my companies. He also helped me learn how to keep our employees accountable. But the most important thing he taught me was how to understand my strengths and weaknesses. Because of him, I realized I am not a very good manager. I'm not good at holding meetings. I'm not good at keeping people accountable myself. But the good thing is, I don't have to be the person to do that. He taught me how to find the right person who can do it for me in my various companies. And because of that one thing, I've now been able to step away, and the companies still are doing better than ever, even with me not really involved. Another guy I met in this group was Scott Oots. Scott is a wholesaler out in Los Angeles who's doing millions a year in wholesale fees. And he taught me how to do direct mail at a high level. What kind of postcards to use, what kind of list to hit, all of those things. I could have tried to figure it out on my own and spent a ton of time trying to learn the process, but instead I got to learn from a guy who's already done it for many years, had a ton of success, and he cut my learning curve by years. And he's helped me out so much with that I've invited him to speak at my upcoming mastermind just like Kong. But the last person I'll tell you about before I finally get to what the rule is my buddy Tim Bratz. If you've watched my video where I talk about buying the 334 unit apartment complex, then you're probably familiar with him. He was the one that challenged me to go from thinking about how I could buy 50 rental units to how I could buy 500 rental units this year. You posted on my I think it was on Instagram. You were like, dude, if you don't buy at least 500 this year, like you're slacking. I was like, dude, what do you mean by that? Like 50's a lot. And so the only reason Pineda Capital exists is because I've met Tim. He gave me the initial push to think even bigger, but as I went about setting up the fund, he hooked me up with all the right lawyers, all the right people, all the right systems and processes so that I could set it up quickly and in the best possible way. Now, those are just 5 people that I've met in this group that have drastically changed my business and my life. And I could give you examples of other people from that group that have impacted me as well. And because of what this group has done for me, it's made me want to join as many groups as I can that are like it. There's a reason that I'm now golfing so much. It's not just for fun. Well, maybe it is. It's one of the reasons I'm trying to buy season tickets for the Raiders in the most expensive sections. One of my buddies invited me to a game recently with his tickets. And I could just see the difference hanging out with all of those other season ticket holders who have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. You've got to be high level to be able to afford that. It's also the same reason I'm trying to join YPO. It stands for the Young Presidents Organization, and many people don't really know what it is because it's somewhat of a secret society that is really hard to get into. I've actually got my interview for them in about 20 minutes. Yeah, seriously, it's in 20 minutes. So I'm gonna end this video like Inception. You can decide for yourself what the rule is.